Hey everyone, really excited to be here to answer your questions about YouTube. For me, I just love what YouTube represents. It's an opportunity to really transform the world from my perspective. It could start in your own little world and then kind of branch out as long as you're passionate about something. And so for me, I jump on a live stream every once in a while to just kind of give back and take time. For me, I got a lot going on. I'm producing a TV show right now in our 7th season, and got VidSummit coming up, which is here happening in a couple months. And then I also have other businesses that I'm running, and so for me, I love to just jump on if I'm not working with my students. I want to be able to just jump on and answer some questions. And then two, today we're going to actually bring on other YouTubers to help me answer questions, or you can get multiple perspectives of your question that you might have. So here's what I want you to do. First, make sure that you just put a question in the chat. We're going to pull it up. And when we pull it up, there's an opportunity for me to go a little bit more in dialogue with you. It might be a fast response. It might be a in-depth response. You never know with me. You just never know. But what we're trying to do is get through quite a few questions, because I think a lot of you would like to talk to me. I'm very hard to get a hold of sometimes. And then two, my consultations are really expensive too. And so this is an opportunity to ask your question, whatever that may be about YouTube. I'm here. In fact, I was actually just at VidCon presenting, and I decided, you know what, I got a little bit of time. I stood around, well, I actually was on a couch, but I was on a couch answering questions for the next 5 hours. And so I had a line after my standing only session. And I stood there and answered every specific question. The people that wanted to wait, I wanted to be able to do that. Now, unfortunately, I can't do that today. I'll get to as many questions as we possibly can. But what I want you to know is, for the next little bit, just kind of leading up to VidSummit, I'm gonna jump on the live stream more. We'll have some of these Q&A sessions, but I love to do breakdowns. That's something that I get super excited about. So today I decided, you know what, instead of doing it on my own, I wanted to invite a few friends on YouTube, people that have actually done YouTube in a way where it's not all roses and flowers out there. And so I wanted to have kind of a variety of different people come on and answer questions with us, so you get the true perspective of what's happening on YouTube. And I'm actually joined by my friend Zealous. So hey, Zealous, how you doing?
What is up? So good to be here, man. Thank you so much for the invite.
Man, for those that don't know who you are, could you just kind of take a moment on your journey, and then I'm going to be just kind of going through some questions, if that's cool, and we'll start hammering through that. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. So September of 2020, I won a Mr. Beast challenge, and my channel went from 50,000 subscribers to 1.7 million subscribers in 7 hours. And Daryl, I had just recently bought his course, and so the timing was perfect. And he kind of took me under his wing and made sure that kind of like if I was a beginner surfer, he was like the expert sensei surfer that taught me how to ride the wave. And it wasn't always perfect. Learned a lot of lessons and had some crashes along the way. But it really taught me the value of mentorship along this process. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. And I see some familiar faces in the chat too. Let's go.
Yeah,
Nick,
yeah.
good to see you. Heck yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to come in right now. So let me do one thing real quick. You've been to VidSummit before. Share with people like what they can expect at VidSummit, because I am going to give a ticket away right out of the gate. So why don't you kind of share that a little bit, and we'll go into detail. So.
Well, I think I've made some of my best friendships at VidSummit. I think number one, I think the biggest factor of your success in life is who you have in your inner circle. And I was blessed to not only receive a lot of incredible information, and I really filled up my notebooks and created a habit of filling up my notebooks from VidSummit. But I think maybe even more valuable than that was 2019. Mr. Beast was sitting in the back of an practically empty conference room, and I looked at my friends. I'm like, "That's Mr. Beast." And that is probably what led to a huge catalyst of
Yeah, and I think at the time, I think Mr. Beast was like, I think he had like maybe 10 million, maybe a little bit less than 10 million.
Yeah. He was just coming on the map.
Yeah, just barely there. Yeah, it was very, very fun. Like when I met him, I think he had just crossed 4 million subscribers, and so like I met him in person, whatever. But anyway, so what I wanted to do is just ask Pam. Pam, you are coming to VidSummit. So like, hey,
No way.
You got it. Here you came on a stream. You didn't even know you're going to walk away with a ticket to VidSummit. Now, here's the great thing. Here's the great thing. Chantel is in the chat. She's going to kind of give you the details of how you can go. But what we want you to do is make sure you can go in person. So if you can't, we can switch it to a virtual pass for you. It's just very, very powerful to do it. But I would highly encourage you to be there. And the reason why is you never know what's going to click for you there. You never know who you're going to meet there. You never know the opportunities. Just like Matthew was able to meet Mr. Beast, which like at the time, how many subscribers did you have? Like you probably 30,000. Yeah. So you're like, oh man, Mr. Beast, whatever. And here you have conversations with it. You never know who's going to be in the room. And then two, my whole thing is there's very unique people at VidSummit. Some of these people are like me. I'm behind the scenes guy, you know what I'm saying? And so like you might meet someone that can really transform your life in a way where you never had. So just ask Pam, congratulations on it. You are here, and guess what? You are going to be at VidSummit too. So Chantel will connect with you on it. So let's kind of jump right in and do a question here. This is a super chat. Thank you, Baseline Dental. I used to get a ton of traffic from YouTube search, browse, and suggested videos. Now I get most traffic from external, which is Google AI results, I believe. Should I be worried or lean into this traffic? I don't know. Have you ever, do you know any? Oh, did I lose Zealous?
Oh, no,
you kind of glitched out a little bit. I'll take this one. I don't know if you, I mean, you can answer on this one too if you want. Okay, so generally when I hear this this specific comment, I used to get traffic like this. Generally, I found that there are 2 or 3 videos that's bringing most of your traffic in. And what happens is if your traffic is being brought in by browse feature, that's homepage or subscription, you know, what happens is generally YouTube's recommending other videos. And if you look at your suggested video traffic, it's generally your own videos that are being shared. So people watch one video, being recommended another, and it's engaging with there, or they watch a video, come back to YouTube later, and then there's another video for them to watch on the browse. And so that's generally what's happening. On YouTube search, there's it depends on the topic, but generally there's a few videos that are bringing in higher than normal search volume from there. Now, your assumption that you're getting most of the traffic from external, which is Google AI, I would say you need to validate that, because usually external could be people embedding your videos or having a reference video on it. I would go and look. I'm not saying that it's not. I would just say you got to validate it, because if it is, yes, you want to leverage in on AI, because the CEO of Google just announced, I don't know, a couple months ago that Google search is changing, and it's really, really going to be heavy AI, heavier than ever before, which is going to impact search engine results. And so they're going to leverage their own IP. Or their own property. Google owns YouTube, so they're going to do that. So yeah, I think once you put good informational content on YouTube that would help populate the AI or the knowledge base that's there, that is a very solid strategy. However, I would go back and look at what was the videos bringing in from browse and suggested, and I would do more videos of those, because I would say the traffic that you can get on that is so much greater than any traffic you can get on external. Like it's just massive. So I would kind of gear towards that. Any comments on this one, or we want to move to the next one?
Man, I feel like you're the traffic guy. I just learned new things there. So yeah.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and do the next question here. This is coming from Teacher 96. My data shows 93% of my views come from non-subscribers who find me through high anxiety search terms like road test traps. Should I focus my long form strategy? And I don't know if they got cut off. Nope. I don't know if it got cut off on just the word type, but so they're coming from non-subscribers, so it's probably new views. Like, what would you do, Matthew, if you're getting traffic coming from non-subscribers and generally they're clicking on a couple videos or whatever? How would you help them get loyalty, to go deeper into this?
Yeah, and this is a problem that I've experienced too, because we're kind of reaching a point in like the creator space where anyone can make a viral video, but how can we like actually create depth? This is something that I want to get better at. But where I've seen people do it the best is they'll have an A story and it's about whatever the viewer is actually coming for. But the B story, if there is a B story, will be an emotional or personal story that can tie into the A story. So to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what we mean by road test traps, but the principle is, if this is a driver's test, then the principle would be to share maybe a personal story from your first driver's test throughout the video, and this develops like a personal relationship. And then I think also giving people opportunities to engage deeper. So if there is any free resources that you can give that maybe helps someone with, if it is again a driver's test, like a PDF or something like that, higher commitment to your brand creates relationships. So even if it's like, a lot of people don't feel comfortable selling things to their audience, but actually selling a valuable product to your audience, whether it's in the form of a commitment with your email, which is a form of sales, or if it's in the form of higher commitment of time or higher commitment of money, as you get further down the funnel or deeper into the flywheel that you're building, that develops a deeper audience relationship, even subconsciously.
Yeah, and I have a new book coming out in September. It's called YouTube Formula 2.0, and when I it's basically a rewrite of the YouTube formula, just kind of update it with everything. But when I was going through the rewrite, they wanted a 30% change, and this is the publisher. And I was going through it. I'm like, man, I want to do better stories of people that actually read the YouTube formula and applied it. And so we did that. So that changed quite substantially every story that's in the YouTube formula. And then two, after having a lot of conversations with people, I wanted to be able to explain to them a little bit more, teach concepts in a more simple way. And I introduced something that I call the audience growth triangle in the new YouTube Formula 2.0. And basically the triangle, in fact, let me just pull that up because it'd be just easier to show than to, here we go. Yeah, so here we go on this one. So this would be easier to show on the audience growth triangle. So when I look at it, it's like the discovery is going to have a wide audience, and that discovery is coming down to videos that might be non-subscribers, and then you have your narrative and emotional relationships. In fact, let me get rid of your thing so you can see it. But the narrative and emotional relationships on this, you're able to start developing, casual viewership or regular viewership out of this. And so what that would be is if you're an informational channel, they're finding you in a video to give them additional resources and also content that we're like, oh my gosh, where's this channel been the whole life? It's been so effective in the video content. And then when I went deeper, the trust factor went through the roof. And so that is something we'll get more in depth on for sure when it comes to journeys. And I think what Matthew said is correct in the sense that it is getting, easier for people to have one-off hit, but have consistent hits. It's a very difficult thing to do. It just is by general. So, okay, next question. What helps you think always so big? I know you are working with goals, planning your months and years ahead. Okay, there we go. Faith driven, and it's always faith driven. But is there more to it? So, believe it or not, you're talking to two people that we like to evaluate things. Do you want to kind of go through your goal setting things, Matthew? And I'm going to do the same on that one because it is July, and that's when I do my goal setting. So
yes, yeah. So definitely want to. I love the rhythms that Daryl has. He's always had consistent rhythms of review. When he does his goal setting in July, I believe it's 2 weeks that you take out of state to kind of think through the next goals for your 3-year goals, but also 12 months and 6 months. Defining the win is where you begin. I love that quote. You have to know what your start line is, like where you are, and then where you're going, what your finish line is. And the tools that I've used that I think most effectively help me do that, and to think big but start small, because this is a marathon and not a sprint, is to have that end picture visualized. Like, I'm a very visual person, so I have a vision board over here, just like right on my floor, with a bunch of photos that are kind of like painting the picture of where I want my life to be in the next 3 years or so. And then I think the second tool that I like to use is future stories. So I have a mentor, his name's Scott Donnell, and he has a future story, because we all think in story, like even from childhood, you think in story. He has a future story where he wants to dance with his great granddaughter at her wedding. So that means that she would be probably in her 20s. And in order for that story to be true, there's a lot of cascading things that have to happen leading up to it. And so future stories are great. Vision boards are great. And then, like Daryl uses, is SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, I believe, or actionable, is it? Attainable, relevant, time bound. I'd say, but to think big, sometimes you just have to force yourself to times your goal by 10. And what I found is if I have a goal of I want to make 10,000 a month versus 100,000 a month, then those put me in completely different ways of thinking, from a leverage perspective. And even if I were to not hit my 10x goal, but I'd shoot it low, I'd still maybe be 8 times my original goal.
Yeah. So this is a great question, and I like it. I believe in abundance. I believe in making a mark on the world and not just living in the world. So thinking big's generally easy for me is realizing, and I'm going to just since you brought up faith, I'll just kind of bring it in this way, but it's realizing I'm not going to put any limitation on God. I'm not, and God's will. If He wants to utilize me in a unique way, I just need to know what His will is and align myself with His will. Yep. And when I do that, usually in July, I take time off, and we're kind of in that season where I'm really, really focusing in on where I want to be in 3 years. All I'm doing is having conversations of where I think my life can be and what that could look like and what resources I'm going to need and also, the type of impact. And so for me, I'm more looking at where do I want to be impact wise in the world when it comes to my family, my business, very specific with my children. And then two, I'm looking at other ancillary projects that I'm doing. So like right now, just to let you know, I know where I want to be 3 years right now. I'm actually, very clear on that. And I didn't need all of July to do it. I just need to now validate it with God that it's what He wants me to do. Because I know what I want to do. And if I don't know what He wants me to do, that's kind of where I take some time and ponder and pray about it. And by the end of the month, I should have all my areas of focus of where I want to be And sometimes it takes times, and sometimes, guys, I'll be honest with you, I don't get it in July, but I do get it. I have 6 months to prepare for that. And those that I can't get an answer for, where I feel like that's where I need to be, they never become goals. They just don't. I just cannot do something in my own heart that I know that I don't have validation for. And so, like, for me, that's really important. So you got the full essence of it. But the secret of all success is the consistency and your pattern of rhythm of when you wake up in the morning. And I do a daily devotional, and I look at my I really look at my goals of where I want to be, and then I also look at my plan of where I'm at, because what is the plan is the success. Because just because you dream big doesn't mean you're going to get it. And just because you have big goals doesn't mean you're going to get it. But if you have a plan of what you need to do each day and what you're willing to compromise, in the sense of, hey, I'm going to compromise sleep just because I'm behind something. And I'm gonna put more energy into this, or, oh, this is gonna take away, like going out on this trip is gonna take me away from what I need to do here. I'm not gonna compromise that. And so you're making those decisions. And in that plan, I always look at what's the obstacles keeping me from achieving the goal. And then 2, I might need to set what I call micro goals to achieve smaller steps to get to that bigger pinnacle moment. And then, that's what I use the plan for the next 6 months between July and the first of the year of, okay, I really want to drill into this. And it gives me more thought and process into what I want to achieve. And then, like Zealous, having a vision board or whatever is really, really powerful. For me, I just need to see what I'm working on and just make sure everything's in line with that. So, all right, let's do another question here. How about this one right here? How do I win VidSummit tickets? LOL. You just won a VidSummit ticket. There you go. Look at that's how easy it is. Now everybody's like, I want to win VidSummit ticket. We're going to be giving away tickets here, but let's kind of jump into it. Chantel, if you want to reach out to Chantel, she'll get you all the details. She's on here. She's our moderator. Also, does the live stream algorithm interfere with long form video algo? I'm wondering if I should start streaming, and if it's polite, my long form, if it will pollute my long form signal. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this, and then it's not your normal answer what I'm going to give you. Okay, we'll talk about the algorithm in a second, but I want to talk about human nature going on right now. We live in the AI world. There is so much AI slop out there, and there is a craving for something, and it's real authenticity and human connection. The more AI slop goes out there, there's going to be a more demand on human connection. And if you look at I would say someone that's moving the needle in ways that I haven't seen from a following standpoint worldwide, it's iShowSpeed, and he's literally live streaming more than anyone probably on the freaking planet, in that regard. Now, that being said, YouTube is very sensitive to what people are wanting. And I can tell you, for the last 3 years, live streaming is very, very powerful. And what happens is they treat it as a format. And as soon as it's done and it's like video on demand, then it leverages the video algorithm. So you get best of both worlds. However, that being said, there's more demand right now for live streaming than ever before. And you can grow a lot faster in ways if you'll actually include a live streaming strategy in your content. Now, some of the bigger YouTubers I work with, they might have another channel that they live stream on, and then there's something there, or they just realize maybe I'm going to do that quarterly or every other month, that I'm going to just engage with my fans. And so, any comments on this one?
Yeah, the best thing about live streaming is I think it creates moments for people to be a part of. And so it kind of goes back to the principle of giving people the opportunity to engage deeper versus making just a one flash in the pan hit. Ryan Trahan is huge on moments, and I'd say he's the most live streaming, not live streaming YouTuber you can find, especially when it comes to his yearly series. And everyone knows that Ryan's going to release a series every year. So I just love the idea of a cadence of live streaming that is special, and it creates a, as Ryan would call it, a moment in time for not only your audience to grab onto, but for brands to grab onto. It's kind of like your version of the Super Bowl, I guess.
Yep. Yep. No, it's great, and I think there's a lot of opportunities, and YouTube's introducing a lot of great tools right now to make live streaming so much easier. Okay, so I teach artists how to sell at art fairs. My best content bucket is stories of difficult customer interactions I've had at art fairs. I'm struggling to find adjacent content buckets advice. Okay, look, people like drama. They just do. And when you have difficult people at difficult content or customer interactions, they're going to do that. Now, I just want you to understand the psychology, though. If you're focusing on that, the entertainment is the weird interactions. And so I believe that gold play button right up there is one that I got in 28 days, and all I did was reading Reddit comments, Reddit posts. And I mean, it was years ago, and people like to do it. And so, like for me, I'm like, oh, let me just go ahead and read this interaction type stuff, and it was the fastest growing channel that I had, and the reason why it just popped off on Reddit, and that was years ago. But that was all about reading just very, very difficult situations that people have, and people like drama. I mean, they like soap operas, they like telenovelas, they like that whole thing. That's what you're leaning into. They like crazy Karen stories. They just do. They like weird HOA stories. And so this right here, you're an artist, and then you're getting those interactions. And so the difference would be is when they're coming for that, if you're doing another value, it would need to be around a similar value proposition. So it could be weird situations or weird requests or whatever that may be. But like when you're looking at adjacent content, I would always lean into something that would be similar, that's not too far off with the crazy customer stories. I don't know. What do you have, Matthew?
Yeah. So yeah, I had this challenge as well with we had a bucket on our channel that I just couldn't figure out like any buckets that like would kind of do the same thing as this one was doing. It's called Stunts in Real Life, and I think if I looked into it a little deeper at the time, I probably wouldn't be able to, like from that position of the value prop. I think I probably would have been able to find some stuff that adjacently complemented it. And it really, like Daryl says, comes down to the human psychology of what they're experiencing when they're watching it, and how can you deliver that in the same way but slightly different. And so I don't know, I think of like one of the one of the funniest things I think is caricatures of people. So I wonder what it would look like if maybe you had some that same kind of public social interaction around art that created some tension, because maybe you're drawing something in 60 seconds and who knows if they're going to like it.
I think that's interesting too. But then too, the thought that I'm getting is some of the channels that I get sucked into, and I don't know what my problem is. I really do. It's more of a TikTok problem that I have than a YouTube problem on this. But like I always get these stories that are being told while somebody's playing gaming, or there's someone drawing something. Like you could literally start painting, and you're just painting something and just telling stories along the way.
Oh, that's
and
actually so good.
You could VO stories on it, and it could just be crazy stories, but then you're also painting. I don't know. There's an interesting concept on that, but my ADHD, like it kicks in pretty hard for that. I'm like, okay. Now my wife's like, why? What is this really about? Is it about the gaming, or is it about the basketball highlights? I'm just like, that's just the way it is. Fortnite or Minecraft and basketball goes hand in hand. Okay.
So real.
Orlando Hubbard, how do you know if you're absolutely reaching your target audience? Sometimes it feels like no matter how you make certain content on YouTube serves it wrong. What's your thoughts?
So if you're an educational like YouTuber, then I think attacking the problem that they're currently thinking about is like so key. I just started so my dog is really old, and she doesn't have the easiest time standing up from when she's lying down. And I got targeted with these dog chews that are supposed to help that. And I literally scroll on my Instagram and I see a dog doing the exact same thing that my dog's doing. And I'm like, I need to buy these. And so I don't, they're listening, maybe, perhaps, who knows? But I think, well, they definitely are. But I think the biggest thing is like not attacking it from the promise or the solution or like the promised land of like what you can give. Like that's what they get in the video, but attacking the actual packaging from the problem and the hook from the problem that they're thinking about in their mind.
One of the things that I teach my students, and I do group coaching called Channel Jumpstart. And if you want information, there's some information in the description below. But one of the things I try to do is don't try to put a round peg in a square hole. And what you're saying is, hey, I'm making content and this is who I want it to be for, but YouTube's serving it out to the wrong people. Don't look at this. One of my favorite case studies of all time, and you can look him up on YouTube. He did a great thing. His name's Myron Golden, and he'd been on YouTube like, I don't know, 15, 18 years or whatever. And it was like, he had 10,000 subscribers and he's getting a couple hundred video views when he would release a video. And he wanted to be serious about it. And anyway, so he jumped on my channel Jumpstart, and he's the only person that I met. And he's like, tell me the amount. He had a blank check. And I'm like, I don't do the sales. You go talk to Justin or whatever. But anyway, I go, but you got to do it. He's like, I'm going to be your best student. And so anyway, we jump on, and he has built out events, and he had books, and he had funnels, and he had this really, really amazing machine. What he didn't have is a way to feed that machine without paying a lot of money. So he'd pay to play. So he'd do ads or whatever, or go speak at events, and then he had this going in. And we were having the conversation on the target audience, and he goes, "This is my avatar," and he knew exactly who his customer was. And this is what I told him. And this is what I'm telling you. Okay, just because they're current customers now, if you do YouTube right, you're going to find the right type of customer. And he goes, wait, what? And the reason why is because YouTube's going to serve out who's going to be best for you. There's not too many algorithms on the planet that actually understands human nature and what they're looking for and what YouTube's trying to predict for the viewer. So if YouTube's found your viewer, you need to understand who that viewer is. And so I want to give you context. His very first video that he did in Channel Jumpstart, and he released it. He was getting normally about 100 video views, whatever. It got like 50,000 views. And then his next video after that got over 1 million views. And what's crazy from this was it found an audience that he didn't know existed that wanted his content, his value, right? And then what happened next was he grew. I mean, he's massive now. In fact, he laughs that it's the number one source of marketing that he's ever done in his whole life. And he had everything all set up. So he had 4,000% increase in book sales and all this other stuff. He just filled everything, but his demographic shifted. It wasn't even remotely the same type of people that he had before, because YouTube found the audience and it was more plentiful. And it was like his conversions and everything went way through the roof. And the moral of the story is this. Your content is going to be appealing to someone. You need to figure out who that is. You're going to have assumptions, and that's what I want you to do is have assumptions. But you need to do this. It's like you need to learn through the data who they really are, and not try to put a square peg in a round hole and say, "No, I'm going to force it to be this." No. When it's naturally that, and you're responding, oh, this is the type of person that it is, then you lean into it a little bit. Now, I can tell you a lot of content creators do it the wrong way. And I'll be honest with you, Zealous had an issue, which I told him right out of the gate. I go, you're going to have a very big problem, because people that will watch you are going to expect something with Mr. Beast, and you need to develop your own audience. And it's going to be completely different, a different audience than Mr. Beast's audience. It is, you're going to get some of them, but it's going to be challenging in that. And so like for me, it's more about understanding who's watching your content and realize, oh man, I need to bring them value consistently, and I need to understand them more. So based on the demographics you get in YouTube Studio, but then also what you're getting in comments can lead to that. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, could I actually ask you a question on that? Because I think that's
Sure.
a good just like nuance. Because I think even for me, like I've been like, okay, how can I just like really get clear on defining like who I'm reaching like before I make the video? Almost
Yep.
like almost like that's in the thought process. But what you're saying is over time it's almost like a dance. Like you're gonna figure it out through making, not fitting yourself into a square hole if you're a round peg, and at the same time whatever audience that brings, you might be surprised, and then to flow with that audience as well.
What I normally like to do is be passionate about something. I don't want you to compromise your creativity, right? But don't expect that your passion and your creativity is going to respond to the people that you think who's watching it.
That's
And
such an
so,
important nuance.
yeah,
So
and then once you understand who they are, you can understand the nature of it. So like when I'm doing a new channel, and we're right in the middle of doing a new channel, I'm like hypersensitive on who I believe the viewer will become. And I have a son that will be speaking at VidSummit. So Kelton's actually speaking at VidSummit, which is awesome. And we were having this really, really in-depth conversation. And I'm like, listen, we want to say who's going to be the viewer, but I want to make sure that you understand the goal. And the goal is not views. Like when you come to it, the goal is getting enough trust where people will actually invest in X, Y, or Z. And so like for me, it could be these cool video ideas that will get a whole bunch of views, but that's not the goal of the video. It's not the goal of the channel. And so when you understand the goal, then you know how to create the content that will be engaging for the person and elevate the retention in it, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is like so awesome, whatever. And so when we have that, it's all coming back down to understanding the viewer. And I can guarantee you, there's not a person in the world that obsesses this in the way that I do, because I'm hyper fixated on it. But once I understand it, it's easy to pull the levers. And so for Matthew, for you, it's more about it is a dance in the sense of you're trying things and seeing how it responds. But the reality is you just because you can upload a video doesn't mean it deserves to be watched, right? So you need to understand how to get people to click, and then once they click, how to get them pulled through the story. And it doesn't need to be a spectacle. It doesn't need to be amazing edit or anything like that, but it needs to have value. And when people find value and they're pulled in, they'll designate the time to watch it. And so we just got to figure out what that value proposition is. So back to this one, I would just say, hey, just do your best, but learn from your data. And the data will tell you the direction that is working. And then two, what you got to do is really understand those people that are watching. You're trying to deep dive into that. So, all right, Ryan DePauls, man, I just heard that you won a VidSummit ticket on Nick's live stream. There you go, man. What's your thoughts on the new shows tab in YouTube Studio, and how do you leverage that to help grow our channel? So what do you think? Did you hear about that?
So I did just see it, and it reminds me of what I've seen on a few of your emails, which is you're talking about thinking like a studio, and how the YouTube channels are really the best. YouTube channels are really just recreations of shows. You know, like Matt Armstrong is Top Gear, Nick DiGiovanni is Food Network,
that's right. Yeah, I would say with this, whenever YouTube introduces a new feature, I'm always wary of the new feature. But this is one I've been asking for a very long time, just because it's a way to organize. So think of a series. Well, let me pause for a second. Okay, this is really important that everyone understands this. When YouTube came out, it was giving creators like us the opportunity to express ourselves through video content. And realistically, most of the views were happening on desktop when it came out. And then when mobile came along, it's like, oh man, we can get a ton more views. In fact, YouTube got this huge influx of new viewers because YouTube was on the go instead of being tethered to a computer. Now, as of late, it's been 2 years, and YouTube's the number one viewership on TV. Everyone thinks it's Netflix, but it's not. YouTube crushes Netflix. It has more viewership than Netflix does, and so it's on TV. Well, the TV aspect of it, and we've known this for the last few years, is people watch longer and they skip less. They're leaning back. They're watching it collectively as a group. And so that being said, when YouTube TV, if you've even put that on top of it, I mean, it's almost half of all viewership on TVs is coming on YouTube, between YouTube TV and YouTube. And so it's like, man, there's so much opportunity. Well, now YouTube realizes, man, there's really some of these great shows, and it's very episodic, i.e. Ryan Trahan, where he has a series that people want to know what the next one is in the group. Now, there's no YouTube in the world that wants to be, hey, this is 1 of 2 or 3 of 4 in a series. Like, you never want to do that. That's going to be, well, why do I want to click on 2 when I don't even know where 1's at, and they can't even find 1? So it's a way to organize. And what I would say is think playlists. Back in the day, that's what this is, but it's a sequence playlist where you're able to say, oh no, this is a part of a series. And so when people go into it, you're going to have a higher likelihood that it's going to show up in the next recommended video, guaranteed, because it has that relationship tie. I would leverage that in a unique way, but what I would not do is put something that wasn't made a series in to say that it is a series, that you're meant to be watch it as a series, because YouTube's going to realize that too. It's getting super smart, and you might think, oh man, I'm going to have this YouTube hack. And trust me, I used to do that hack. I used to have a main playlist. This is like back in the day, man. But I used to put the newest video that I had that was popping off at the top of the playlist, and it would trickle down, and I get all these views. And that's when you could only, I would dominate the suggested videos. Like, you'd go click on a video, and then all the videos that were on the side were my videos. That's when you could do that. They got smart. They realized, no, we'll do some you're going down the rabbit hole type of recommendations. And then we need to do something completely opposite of it. And that's where, multi-channel and channel clusters come in. So that's what I would do, Ryan, on that is, I believe it's a very, very powerful tool. I don't think there's any bugs whatsoever in it because it doesn't impact the way that it's being recommended in your current way. It would just open up new opportunities, if you have a series. So. Man, that was a good question. Okay, let's see what we got here. I want to make sure we have another super chat. I want to make sure we hit those. Okay. You often mention Bob Ross. I actually do. There's a lot of reasons. What would a modern Bob Ross look like? I teach anime drawing fundamentals, but want to move beyond utility and build a love group around anime and art. In VidSummit, you mentioned a good friend of mine. She's in Poland. And then, by the way, you're looking good. Thank you. I'm trying to look good. Okay, so when we look at Bob Ross, I want to explain why I love Bob Ross. Is because he started with a blank canvas, and in 20 minutes, it's like, I think 22 minutes, he had artwork all done. And then 2, it was very encouraging when he's like, there's no mistakes. It's happy little accidents, right? And then he's building upon things. But what he was doing is he had certain phrases, catchphrases that people look for. I'm telling you right now, Bob Ross on Twitch is one of the highest live streams when they do it. It just is. Really? It is. And the reason why there is this, so Bob was in the army, has some PTSD, smoked the hashish, and he would get high before getting on and gaining. But there's like this calming spirit with Bob. And it's just so easy going that you're just like, oh man, it's just therapeutic. And so I would say he was more therapy than teaching art. However, the therapy would lead to art. And so people found joy in painting. I wonder if you look joy in painting, where that comes from. And you'll see that he had built a $1 billion empire by just teaching people how to paint and going through that. But if you really break it down, it's the mechanics. So if you want to do anime, you do the same type of style. And think about it. It's like, yeah, you want to teach people anime, but he wasn't really teaching people how to paint. What he was doing was creating an atmosphere where people felt safe, and their stress level came down like 16 notches. Yeah. And then they're like, man, this is really fun. And then two, oh man, I could actually do this. And so as people do it, and I know this because my sister-in-law a couple years ago bought all the Bob Ross stuff so she could paint. And she would put up the video of Bob and do the whole thing. And she has these amazing landscape things. And so, yeah, that's what I would do. And so I would say it doesn't necessarily be mental health around it. What I always like to look for is what do anime, a group that love anime, what do they love in addition to the art, right? And so I just want to give you, because I'm a big anime fan, and I'll give you my interpretation of it. But anime is more about redemption than any other thing. If you were to say, is there a constant thing about anime? It is literally redemption. And so what maybe it is you're talking about redemptive stories or something. As you're drawing, it just kind of goes hand in hand with that. I don't know.
Legendary. There's so many like transformation arcs in anime that you could like just go over while painting the character.
Yeah. Because I think if you're trying to teach people the drawing fundamentals, man, it's like you're a dime a dozen out there, and then then it's more instructional when it's more about, hey, watch me transform a blank piece of paper and have it this amazing, scene or character, but then you're doing VO or something around transformation. That's the Bob Ross approach. Not saying that's what you need to do. I'm just saying, hey, let's look at it, in that regard and see what we can come up with. But that's what I would do for sure.
I love the fundamental principles behind that, though. It kind of goes back to, I feel like, what Steve Jobs said, where he says, like, we're not marketing a product, we're marketing according to our values and beliefs. Yeah. And what they believed is that they wanted to empower the human, like a human is empowered by a bicycle. They want to do the same thing with a computer. I think culture is so built on values, on sayings, on rituals, even like family culture. Like, I want to raise my kids to know that doyons do hard things, and that our name means something more. So it's cool where the art means something more at the same time.
Yeah, agreed. My wife is less than 200 hours away from monetization. She's gone through Channel Jumpstart with me and uses your methods. It's like all just stopped at this point. All of a sudden, what do you think's wrong? Generally, that I found, and this is really important. If you're going and using Channel Jumpstart, it's more about recon and research, and then learning from it. So if you're a couple 100 hours away or 200 hours away, it's just one video away. Basically, the way I look at it. So you're just one video away from monetization. What we need to do is really understand the audience and then bring that value. And so breaking it down, I would do a lot more recon and research, and then look at what is performing with that specific audience that you're trying to reach. And then, is it actually working? And then two, generally there's a couple videos that might have brought in traffic. You need to learn from those. Are they leaving comments? What's the retention rate? What's that? Just because you're getting hours watched doesn't mean it's really good content either. You need to really refine your packaging and really pull people in. That's what I'm able to do. But yeah, no, it's something that I always fixate on for sure, especially out of the gate. Okay. This is my channel I run. She's a piano prodigy at 7. My plan is of kind of make her the YouTuber appealing to 6 to 13-year-old girls. This happens to be amazing piano. Any suggestions for this channel? So we're not going to look at any channels per se, but if there's anything that's more difficult than ever before on YouTube, it's music. Music is very difficult. In fact, I use examples in my earlier book of the piano guys that I helped, and other musicians. In fact, we just had a jump starter. He and his brother started on TikTok, and they moved over to YouTube, and then realized, man, they did the touring, and they're like, I don't really find happiness in that. And so the manager that I introduced him to, who's their current manager, says, just write. And he just won 2 Grammys. So
no way.
Yeah, so it's Jake. Yeah. So he just got 2 Grammys this last thing. And so you can find what you love to do. And so when it comes to prodigies, like what I would do is just get out of her way. And I would probably put it on TikTok if it was me. It's just easier, and it's made for music. And then 2, there might be some vertical video you can do on YouTube in that same sense. But I think it's just more showing, that. And what Jake did with music was get a social reaction too. So like when somebody would react to his music, that's really good. So JVKE, just look him up on YouTube, look him up on TikTok. If you can do that, turn heads for your kid, but it's more about when they're playing and then getting that social reaction. That's what he was able to do on that. So it's probably what they didn't want to hear, but that's what it is. So
I've learned to just listen when I have that reaction. It's probably because I need to understand something a little deeper.
So true. Okay, here we go. You got another one. I'm down 130 pounds, but still big enough plus size content for now. But thinking ahead, any tips on transforming my YouTube channel towards confidence-based travel while keeping my current audience? Okay, so listen, congratulations on being down 130 pounds. That's massive, huge increase. What people in any space, it doesn't matter what you're doing, is they care about your journey. And so your journey may start here, but it doesn't mean that you need to always do that. What I would do is realize that the way that you lost weight is part of your journey, and you're still on a journey. But it needs to be clear what you're trying to do. So for me, I had a goal a couple years ago where I'm like, man, I really never focused in on my health side of it, and I need to start losing weight. And so what I did is I set a goal, and the goal was pretty aggressive. I'm not going to lie, and it had nothing to do with weight. I just needed to be more health conscious, and then 2, I needed to prioritize health. So if you look at my calendar, there's 2 hours in the morning that I'm going through, health, and health is not just physical health. And so I slowed down a little bit in the mornings, where I wasn't just getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start going right into work. I'm like taking the time that's necessary to prioritize my day, but then also have some, be more mindful of health. And I was getting into the gym quite a bit before I had these back issues and stuff like that. I don't want to get into all of it on this call, but I even right now I have a broken back. So in my T11, T12, I had a infection that was eating my spine away. And so we got that all taken care of in the sense of the infection. I didn't die. That's why I didn't make it to VidSummit last year, because I was in a hospital bed. But outside of that, I'm back on the curve, and I just recently started to get back in exercising. But the reason why I share that with you is because, people love stories, people love journeys, people love transformation. And if they're able to say, man, what are you doing? That's awesome, right? And so, but they need to know where you're going, because if it's only what I'm doing, oh, I'm just losing weight, whatever. Okay, that's fine. But where are you going? Why are you doing this? And then 2, the confidence-based travel, I love it. But it's like, as you're slimming down, there were certain things you weren't able to do, and now you can experience it for the first time, and that's powerful too. I don't know. What's
So
your thoughts on
powerful.
this?
Dude, I mean, I totally agree. First of all, I'm glad you're okay. I didn't know that was going on. Yeah, I'm sure everyone on the call feels the same way. Seriously, because you just you help us out so much and help us live our dreams. So really thankful for you. Um, and I mean that journey is touching even that. But you know, Matt Armstrong is one of my favorite YouTubers. He's a car YouTuber, and he just tells
Yeah.
amazing stories. And he does this incredible thing where you think you'd get tired of hearing this guy's journey. I never ever get tired of hearing the journey, and it comes up like every few videos where he says, you know, I wouldn't be fixing cars right now if it weren't for my girlfriend crashing her Audi TT like 9 years ago. And then that led to me hiring my dad, and that led to me buying my first rental property. And like, it's just this story of like kind of moving away from this, like just getting by life to this life where now he can provide for his family and friends doing what he loves. And it's always so inspiring every time he says it. And then he also kind of ends it with, you know, like, I can't wait to see where we're going to be a year from now as he's just buying like the next crazy car that they're going to try and fix, you know, and do a repair job on. But every time it's inspiring, every single time. And it's usually in the same format. And I'm always excited to hear it again because I'm like, man, that is just an awesome story. And makes
Yeah.
me,
And
when I hear a story about him, I look at myself. So
yeah, and I think that's the whole thing is I think a lot of people will either relate it to themselves or they'll relate it to people that they know, you know? And so, yeah, I would just say get super focused on the why and the what, and that will help you, but congrats on that as well. Okay. I'm doing 4 to 8 shorts a day, 3 long form videos a month. My tourist videos, shorts pull people into my store, posting multiple platforms. Any other ideas to get people to a physical location? Yeah. First off, that's a lot of shorts per day. I think it's great for TikTok, YouTube, not so much. I would be very mindful of what you're doing. And I think you're just like, oh, I want to put it out to the masses. I would rather have a video that performs really well than 8 videos that doesn't perform very well. You know, that's what I'm looking to do. And then to the long form, what I would say when it comes to location based, so I would assume it's Route 66 something. What I normally would do is if you always do it from a sales point of view, you're going to get some people regardless of what it is. But what you need to do is like the unique things. Route 66 has a lot of historic value. And some people just really focus in on one location instead of the experience. Like why do people do Route 66? So for those that don't know, Route 66 starts in Chicago and ends in LA. Okay, I do know that. You know, and I don't know where on the journey you're in Route 66, but that has been one of those most iconic road trips that started before freeways, you know, bigger freeways have come in or whatever. But it's just like, here's the journey, and then 2, you know, you're thinking of Radiator Springs with Pixar. You know, Disney, you know, that there's a Route 66 type of moment. And then there's other TV shows that have been integrated into it. It's been a part of Americana pop culture for sure. What I look at is, what if it was the destination, and you're doing it in a way where it's appealing. So I'll give you a concept. I like road trips. And the reason why I like road trips is because it's just a different way to experience. I don't do them a lot. I'll usually fly into a place, we'll do a road trip or whatever, you know, with my family. When we were doing this road trip, and I like to do unique road trips. One was, hey, we're going to go to every place that has your name. And so every one of our kids, you know, there was a location in the West that the city has the same name as them. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to do that. Except for my daughter, we actually had to buy a thing on Amazon, and in the middle of Montana, you know, we made an Ellie, Montana, because there wasn't an Ellie anything in the United States. And so anyway, we're going through and we're doing this huge trip. And we just got done with Bridger, Montana, because that's where my son is, and it was on Jim Bridger days, and so it was really cool. We went to basically demolition derby, and it was really cool moment. Well, we're gonna go to Mount Rushmore. And we were driving on the road, and every sign was like, stop at this location in 200 miles. I'm like, why are we saying 200 miles? And then it was like progressively, there's a lot of curiosity. And there was so many signs. I counted them. It was 52 signs to get to this place. They were trying to get my attention for 52 times. And I was curious that we needed to stop in. And it was such a disappointment when I went in there. It was like, okay, I get it. We got gas, whatever, but it was a disappointment. And the point that I'm getting is that what your shorts is going to be? If you're trying to get people into that physical location, give me some interesting things. So like for me, what if it was more around all Route 66 and it was a channel about Route 66, and then maybe a third of your content is about your physical facility, but it's like when you're on your trip, make sure you stop here and here, the super awesome locations, and it's all about that experience. Now you might think, oh, why would I advertise for someone else? And the whole reason why is because you're only one destination in that long journey. But if you're encouraging people to go on Route 66, they're going to stop at your location. If you're the source that they're getting all Route 66 history and pop culture and things and what they can experience, that's what it's all about. So.
And we're back.
There we go. Yeah.
I also heard that my mic was low. So is this better?
Yeah, it sounds fine to me.
All right, cool.
All right, let me grab one more. We got RV Blue Jay. Thank you so much for the super chat. And let me make sure that so somebody was saying turn up your volume. There we go. And then we had the talk anime. Here we go.
Also, Matt mic is too low.
Yeah.
Mic is still low.
I couldn't tell. It sounds really fine for me. I don't know what's going on. All right. Well, let me do this. Let's we're at the top of the hour. Let me do this. Let me talk about VidSummit real quick, and then we'll come back for one last question. Couple questions, and we're gonna give away some VidSummit tickets. So stick around. Matthew will help me give away some tickets on that. But if you haven't been to VidSummit started 13 years ago because I saw a lot of my friends that were coming into YouTube weren't treating YouTube like a business. They weren't. They were just uploading videos, and so they'd come and go. They'd make really amazing money, and then they're like, "Oh, money stopped." I started VidSummit because I saw the creator economy before it was even called the creator economy. I knew that entertainment and the social side of everything was leaning towards YouTube, and there's a huge opportunity. So I wanted to use it to help my friends realize that, hey, if I can see these case studies and make a business out of it, I can do this long term. And so that's kind of where it all started, and it's blossomed into an amazing community. Check it out. Man, it just gives me, I get so excited like every year, just to know that, that there's a place where people understand what we do. And then two, the conversations that we have are so elevated, when people really don't need to be caught up to speed on everything that's going on in your life. And then they bring so much value in. And I can tell you, I just VidSummit alone, I've met people that has impacted my own personal life, my own business, gave me ideas that I didn't even know I had. And then I met people that I ended up partnering with, or, we've blessed each other's lives, but it's just been fantastic. And I know that you mentioned your story about VidSummit early on, but you've come back, you've even, engaged with people in unique ways. And what would be the best thing for people at VidSummit to do, from your perspective, if they're coming, because we're going to give away a couple tickets here, what should how would they take advantage of it?
I think going in with a long-term mindset and making long-term friends. I think relationships, especially in this space, are like a huge, almost like WD-40 to what we get to do. And that was actually one of the first pieces of advice that Jimmy gave to me after I won his challenge was, hey, find a group of people who you can do this with and alongside. And that doesn't necessarily mean employees or anything like that. That just means people who you can kind of have as your battle buddies along the way. And VidSummit has been, man, I remember one VidSummit. I put together like a lunch with my favorite YouTubers in the world because I just kept telling every person, hey, there's a huge lunch happening tomorrow, even if it was like the first person that I talked to. And I ended up being able to get like 20 of my favorite YouTubers in the same room. And we've been friends for years now because of that. And the dividends of that are insane.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So what we're going to do is do a giveaway. So I'm going to pull up. Let me go ahead and move this over to this tab right here. So if you put hashtag VidSummit, you can win a in-person ticket to VidSummit. Prices are going to go up next week. So right now it's $895. Next week it'll be $995. And so if you want to win something, you can get a $900 ticket right now, soon to be $1,000. But go ahead and put that in the chat. And I want to, while that's populating a little bit, I'm going to kind of explain what VidSummit is for me. I talked about my friends that I wanted to help, but realistically, I love to learn. And I can learn from people in unique ways. And what I wanted to do is give a platform to people to teach that don't normally learn. Because a lot of the people that we have on stage, they're not YouTube educators. They're actually creators that are moving the needle in their specific niche. And I can tell you, there's a lot of inspirations, but I want to share one with you that happened 2 years ago. There was an animated show that hit YouTube called Amazing Digital Circus. And I'm like, man, I want to learn from them. So I invited them to come on stage because there was a lot that was going on. I have actually an animation. I produced a TV show called The Chosen Adventures. You can find them on YouTube and also Amazon. And I'm like, I want to learn from them. And so, I brought them on. They were so gracious to come and to be a part of it. Conversation was amazing. It was one of the better presentations that year from my point of view. And maybe because I was learning so much from them about collaboration and audiences and how to leverage merchandise in a unique way. But they came on and it was a part of that. But what happened next was we were having conversations and they're like, man, you're doing some pretty cool stuff too. You have a TV show in movie theaters, and then also you're doing stuff on licensing. I'm like, dude, you got to do licensing. And so we talked about Netflix and Amazon, and so they were actually doing YouTube first, but then YouTube or their content was being licensed on Netflix, which they made a ton of money on that. I think without exclusivity, they were making about $50,000 per episode just out of the gate, and so that was a really big win, but I introduced them to the people that did the distribution for us in the movie theaters, and they did the same thing. They did $48 million doing their last episode in movie theaters. $48 million. So
Crazy.
if it was worth it for them to come to VidSummit, absolutely, you know, and still it's still going.
Wow.
And that's just in the movie theaters, right? And so anyway, that's why I love VidSummit. I'm hoping to see you there. Let me go ahead and do this giveaway, and we will pick some winner chicken dinners to come on to this. And so who's it going to be? Living Blessed One. That's an actually good one. So look, you're blessed. You're living blessed.
Let's go. Come on.
Here's the thing. You just didn't win a ticket. You went 2 tickets. So Chantel's in the chat there. She's going to give you instructions what you need to do, but you got 2 tickets to come. So you or your significant other or a friend, you're able to come to VidSummit. This is awesome. Let's do another one. Let's get this going here. And I really like it when people come for the first time and it transfers their lives. I've had a lot of people win a ticket. Oh, look, there you go. She was actually one of our first comments too. So you actually won a ticket to VidSummit. Not just 1, but 2. You get to bring either your team, your friend, or another creator. You're good to go.
Come on.
I mean, this is what I love. So all you got to do is we have Chantel has all the information. She'll get to you. But if you can't make it in person, we can convert that to a virtual pass. You cannot give this to anyone else outside of the ticket that you won to. You can come yourself, and then someone else can win as well. That you're able to come. But VidSummit's happening in September 29th through October 1st. Hope to see you there. I'm telling you, this is the first time I feel like we're leveling up to a level that we haven't been before. Just to give you some sneak peeks, but we have OpenAI that's a sponsor. We have Twitch. We have YouTube. We have TikTok. It's going to be very, very interesting this year. There's a lot that's going on. However,
that's actually wild.
Yeah, the speaker panel is like off the charts, through the roof. You might go to the website right now and it's not on, but guaranteed next week it's going to be on because it will be $1,000 ticket price when we post the schedule, and that's what's happening. So anyway, hope to see you all there. Zealous, hope to see you there too as well. I'll make sure that you get a ticket since you were on answering questions for everybody. So you're good to go on that.
Let's go. Thank you so much, Daryl. Legend.
Let's definitely do it. But anyway, could you just close on like you've had ups and downs and sideways. You've been on a roller coaster. Could you just share with people, some of the last learnings that you had on YouTube? I think this would be good.
Oh man, I'd be honored to. Yeah. So, in 2025, I reached a point like right at the beginning of the year where I was just so burnt out. And I'd never experienced burnout before. I was like the, sleep 5.5 hours a night guy. And I kind of prided myself on, just really spending all my time working on my business. And there was even a week where I remember that in 1 week, I flew from Colorado to California to Dallas to Florida to New York, back to Florida, and then back to Colorado in 5 days. And it wasn't sustainable to the point where, and that was 1.5 years before I burned out, to the point where I burned out. And I went from sleeping 5.5 hours a night and working my tail off to sleeping 16 hours a day because my adrenals, I guess, were fatigued and I literally couldn't stay awake. And it's so serious, guys. Like, I was scared. I thought I was just going to take a month off, but I ended up taking over a year off of YouTube. And during that year, I really, I observed a lot of my friends who do YouTube, the people who have done it successfully, the people who are on their way. And then I compared it to where I was, and I really saw that I was finding a lot of my identity in the videos I made. I was finding a lot of my identity in the views that I got. And I think even more than that, in maybe the reaction of my friends when I'd make a video that was really hard versus a video that was very sustainable. And I realized that my values, what drove me, were my definition of success was approval from my friends, and that wasn't their fault, like at all. That was just me. And I really had to reevaluate what my values were. And so I think values is another way to say, what are my priorities in life? What's most important to me? And how do I define, like, that's how I define success. And so now going back into building not just a YouTube channel, but a business that's actually sustainable. I value my relationship with God above all else. I want to have an amazing relationship with my future wife and my future family and kids. And I want to not only be healthy, but be healthy enough to serve my community in that order. And most of us have it backwards. It's business, it's health, it's kids, it's wife, it's God. And when we're able to actually put life like this and have our priorities in line, it promotes human flourishing. And so I think Channel Jumpstart is just that. It's a system, and you can go outside of the system, but if you don't like what you're reaping, change what you're sowing. And right. Channel Jumpstart is a system for sowing in the correct way, that you would run the race that you're running like a marathon and not a sprint. And that's what life is. And so I'd say those are the biggest lessons from the last season, and I'm so excited to get back to it. But the opportunity on YouTube is still amazing, guys. It's just don't give your life to it. Let YouTube serve your life and build a life that is flourishing and leaves an awesome legacy.
I'm just excited that you're in a position that you could slow down and still do things. Now the whole thing is, for those that don't know, I do group coaching that he alluded to called Channel Jumpstart. The first thing that I talk about is goal setting, and then two, getting your why. And when you understand your mission and your vision of what you're trying to do, it's easier to stay motivated in it. But then two, you got to put your priority. Like, you got to figure out your priorities. And for me, that's always a constant battle of making sure I have enough priority for the things that I want to accomplish. But there's not a world that I want to compromise those that is most important to me, which is God and my family. And that's it. And if you know me, you understand that's my highest priority. And you'll get me to a point, but there's certain things that I will and will not do. But there's ways to be creative too. You can actually do a lot of these things and put yourself in a position. So like when my wife and we travel all the world, we've been to 58 countries. It's been work related pretty much 99% of the time. I think the first time that we only went somewhere just was as of late. We went to Bora Bora because we were supposed to go to Israel, but then everything went down. And so I'm like, we got to go somewhere. So we went to Bora Bora. But outside of that, I generally go for work, but then we extended a week or two. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. She's like, hey, we'll make a vacation out of it, whatever. Or we'll do it like we just did this huge family trip to Brazil a couple of years ago. We went for a month, and it's just like, that's what we love. That's what we were able to do. We took some friends with us, some YouTubers. We just made a memory out of it, and so it's awesome if you can get your position. But if you know what you want to do, what brings you happiness, and then it's just like, okay, you got to balance it out. That's what I would love to help the world with, is to understand that, and then two, how to leverage it in the right way where you don't your identity is not swallowed up in your creation. What you're doing is building something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
And then two, it's easier to maintain that if you understand, hey, here's some things that we can do that can bring in money that we don't necessarily need to do here, but we can leverage this over there. That's empire building. And I love that. So guys, thank you so much for jumping on. If you're interested, come to VidSummit. It was September 29th to October 1st. It's coming up. You can find the description below. There's a link for that. Also, if you're interested in my group coaching, it actually starts next week. We have another cohort. If you're on the fence on this one, I'm telling you, it's life-changing. For sure, you get my full attention on that. And so really grateful for you all. Thank you, Zealous, for jumping on. We'll see everyone on the next